Hello, my name is Joe Mahan. I'm going to be reading some poems from my book, Spiritual Football Lyrics Life. And the first poem is called The Current. I slipped because I left the current. The strong pull of temptation took me from the flowing river to the still and muddy water of the swamp. I was weak and sad that I gave into it, but pulled myself up and dove into the clear river, swimming to the center and the current, moving with the river, moving in the right direction. The next poem is called 24-Hour Church. Is there a 24-hour church where I can go? A place to pray and think in the Lord's glow? Is there a church open at all times, where I can sit alone or with others, a place where love shines? Is there a 24-hour church where I can go? My schedule changes so often I hardly know. Is there a place of worship open at all times? I'd love to walk in any time during rain or sunshine. Is there a place where people can go to sit in silence and hear what Jesus knows? What a beacon of faith this place could be, to walk in and be with people different and like me. I know this place exists in our minds, and we can go there anytime, but it just seems to me a church open all the time would be a wonderful place to be. The next poem is called My Most Spiritual Place. My most spiritual place is not my church, although I love it there. It is not reading the good book, held within its pages the love and care. Our national park, just a few hours away, said to be where God lives, is inspiring on any day. The section on faith at the bookstore could keep me busy for years, removing many fears. But my most spiritual place is not in season now, so I'll wait for warm weather to arrive, and I'll take the short drive to a simple running track where I walk at night in the dry desert heat. God in the moon and stars. In this place, He's close, not far. The next poem is called A Road to Faith. She is kind with a spirit seeming free. Many want to be near her, including me. Her face lights up with every smile, but sometimes, like us all, emotion takes hold and dark clouds hover for a short while. Once she spoke of the weight that life can be. I wonder if she knows of the blessing that is she. And she cares about our planet, the water and trees. Hearing her speak of this was as pleasant as a calm breeze. Her journey has taken a road to faith. I hope wonderful things come her way, absent a wait. The next poem is called The Builder. Who made that shirt? Someone. Who built that car? People. Who carved that boat? A person. Who made the mountains, the seas, the planets, the stars? A builder. Who touches the edge of the universe, and with a soft wind or drop of rain, you. The next poem is called Take Hold. You've gambled and lost. You've strived and fell short. Let the world continue in its ways. You're hurting from wandering all those days. Come to me this time. Take hold of the line. You will feel a warm breeze, a comfort and ease. The next poem is called A Song for Jesus. A song for Jesus, a song of love. A song for Jesus, the Lord is pure as a dove. Let us gather in a place of peace, feeling the gentle wind like an autumn leaf. Praise the sun watching over us all. Praise the sun, and you shall never fall. Surrounded by friends in the warmth of the Lord, this place of peace has no room for swords. A song for Jesus, a song of love. A song for Jesus, the Lord is pure as a dove. Let us pray and honor his word. Let us hope his message is heard. Let us speak of his kind heart, keeping us in the light and away from the dark. Praise the sun watching over us all. Praise the sun, and you shall never fall. The next poem is called On a Bright Day. On a bright day I was in darkness. On a bright day I was tempted. The morning sunshine brought forth wandering off the path. The noon sky was blue, and gray clouds thoughts clouded my mind through. On a bright day I was in darkness and drove past a church. Was this by chance? On a sunny afternoon, I was being pulled in one direction and guided in another. On a bright day, I was tempted, but went home instead. On that dark night, I slept in peace, heart illuminated. The next poem is called Went Searching. I went searching for the Creator. He's right here. I went searching for his Son. He never left your side. All this time I thought I was alone, thousands of miles away from home. But he was right here all along. There was nothing ever to fear. Now I know he's with me. Let it flow. The love, the light, a rainbow's glow. Life is lighter with his hand on my shoulder. I went searching in the darkness of night and found light. The next poem is called The Path. Ye sought out God during another storm, quite fierce with no relent, and began on the path of faith. Long and far ye traveled, no turning back. One day the storm was finally over, the light, the peace, heaven sent. The next poem is called The Keys. I turned over the keys. How about you drive? I'll sit beside and listen while we ride. Anywhere you want to go is fine with me, and I'm ready to work. I don't want the fare to be free. I've turned over the keys. Would you steer for the time being? I'll take the wheel again when being mature I'm seeing. If you want to drive for the long haul, that's fine by me. I'd love to sit beside you to understand what you see. Jesus, I've turned over the keys to you. I have faith you'll see me through. The next poem is called As Fast As. It's about my father. The soldier returned from combat, carrying inner wounds. Storms raged within him, his soul revealed the scars. Pray ye pray for the soldier, that he now walks with the Lord. Pray ye pray for the soldier, that he now knows a peace as vast as the heavenly stars. The next poem is called The Strongest Man. It's about my grandfather. The strongest man I ever knew was strong to me like very few. Although he had shoulders broad and wide, his strength to me was his kindness that was inside. And yes, he did fight in the Great War. To end all wars, sadly, many have followed as before. He traveled across the ocean to these shores, teaching himself to read and write English, which was a lengthy chore. Working in the mines from youth to retiring age, his lungs felt the rampage of years in that underground maze. My grandfather's dignity remained until his final days. The strongest man I ever knew showed kindness in so many ways. The next poem is called The Earth Provides. The flower has color and scent. The fruit is sweet and nourishing. The branch dances and sings with the wind. The tree is sturdy and endures. The earth provides. The next poem is called The Lover of Books. She is quiet and thoughtful throughout the day. Never a bad word about others. Oh, I wish more were that way. And while she has inspired me to read more, I'll never have the love of books she has amassed, seemingly the distance from ship to shore. And though it would be nice if she shared more of what she has learned, perhaps being quiet and not talking so much was among the lessons taught in the many pages she has turned. But she will tell you of a book she enjoyed to read, leaving it up to you to decide to plant a seed. And while so many others are in love talking about themselves, I'd rather hear stories from the many books on her shelves. The next poem is called The Artist. Although he is not an artist using brush or song, he has the ability that stretches as the day is long. Some of his skills were taught and others self-learned. He receives praise for his work, which is rightly earned. As good with his mind as his hands, he's as talented as I've seen across this vast land. And while his canvas may be a machine, an engine, or building a roof, once the job is done, that's the lasting proof. So he is an artist working with steel and wood. Rarely will you see skills as good. The next poem is called A Rhode Island Summer. The summer in Rhode Island is heaven to me. The oceans, ponds, or lakes are always a welcome sight to see. Baseball was in the air and we would play until dark, until the next day arrived and we would gather and walk back to the park. A drive with Mom going nowhere was great, and we always found our way back and never too late. Fishing in the river morning or night, those bass and catfish put up the best fight. A ride on a raft or canoe moving at such an easy pace, while 6 months previous we flew after a hockey puck in a race. Cotton candy, doughboys, and burgers were plenty at the local feast, and carnival rides spinning upside down with my little sister didn't worry us in the least. And although the summer would end and books would begin, there was always another summer coming, no matter your age, to play in. The next poem is called Across Our Country. Across our country I drove, stopping here and there on deserted and crowded roads. Starting in New England, my journey began, seeking work and a new life across this great land. Driving through pouring rain while climbing a dark mountain road in Tennessee, and descending down the mountain with the rain stopped was a blessing to me. The rolling hills of Virginia were beautiful with the cows and trees, and the pastures of Oklahoma were tranquil with horses and yellow grass moving in the breeze. The red desert of Arizona and New Mexico were a sight to see, but arriving in Nevada was the best part of my journey, my new home to be. The next poem is called The Best Sleep. The best sleep so often arrives after a hard day's work compels us to strive. And maybe we're not doing a job seen as important as inventors, statesmen, and the like, but our bodies and minds are rewarded for our work with a pleasant sleep throughout the night. And isn't dinner so much looked forward to and enjoyed after our day's work while being gainfully employed? Yes, the richest are the ones playing on lush greens, but maybe the ones working hard and falling asleep with ease are the ones with the greatest means. So I write this after a long day at work on my feet. The reward is not just the pay I earn, but the sound sleep my body and mind is about to greet. The next poem is called Walk Around. Walk around in any town, near the sea or with many trees. The people all care about many things, not fancy rings. The thing you'll find much of the time in the towns are joyful sounds. From snowy places, smiling faces, to warm tides brushing hate aside. Walk around on any ground. I'll bet you see people seeking peace like me. Time will pass like wind over grass, until the day when light replaces gray. Walk with me by the sea, or across autumn leaves amidst some shady trees. It is clear some don't care, but so many more are true. The next poem is called Gentle. She is quiet at heart, soft steps and manner reveal not, hardly wasting words or time, enjoying nature, the park, rain, and sunshine. But when you are lucky enough to talk to her, you become aware of a person who speaks kindly of others, which is quite rare. Burdens are something we all bear, but kindness eases the weight when shared. I am grateful she stopped and talked that day. A gentle person gives strength that can impact a life in many ways. The next poem is called Gold and Silver. A pocket of gold would be nice, but I'll take a hug and kiss, maybe thrice. A purse of silver would do just fine, but instead a visit from a friend would make me happy and just in time. Hitting the jackpot would be a dream, but a chance meeting with a kindred spirit might produce some team. Oh, I like cash as much as the next, but let me be wise and not let it be my entire text. The next poem is called The Luckiest. Luck is a funny thing. Is it chance or catching the brass ring? Was it luck being offered a better position, or did hard work pay off like a successful mission? I admire those who work to earn and also work for no pay, doing what they love late into the night as the candles burn. Are we lucky in meeting someone special in passing, or did we find the universe simply being kind? The luckiest people, seems to me, are the ones blessed with health, good family, and friends, and the ones who get paid to be what they want to be. The next poem is called Desert Flower. The desert heat is dry. Her lips are soft and moist. The desert nights are calm. Her voice has a tender charm. The night wind creates no cool breeze. She can make a restless soul feel at ease. Across the country I roamed. The desert is now home. The next poem is called Paint a Picture. Paint a picture with words, a story unlike any they have heard. Paint a picture with sound, causing wonder all around. create a place in their minds, a corner of peace they can't find. A tale of all colors known can form a world never shown. Paint a picture with your pen, a canvas of letters for a stranger or friend. Craft a sentence that makes one feel at ease, like a summer night feeling the ocean breeze. Eyes reading may envision a never-seen universe. Take me to a place with words, unlike any I have seen or heard. The next poem is called My Day Off. Nothing to do, nowhere to go, I spent the day at rest, relaxing at its best. Working hard all week, being productive did I seek, accomplishing all my tasks with the sturdiness of a ship's mast. But today I'm off, enjoying a good book and a pillow soft. Most times I run around enjoying the free time, but today I've decided to unwind. Let my body stop for a day, the rest is earned a sort of pay. So I don't feel bad that I wasted this time, the break was needed and I feel just fine. The next poem is called When You Find. When you find a little time, let your mind allow you to unwind. What's the point being out of joint over things as light as wings? When you find some spare time, walk with me totally free. Can we be like the sea, vast and wide, taking things in stride? We will hear and draw near to the love around all the sound. Pastures green like none I've seen, rolling hills, nature's thrills. When you find a bit of time, will you see, you and me? The next poem is called The Mentor. Although I know he never knew what he meant to my life as time went on and I grew. Working with him for 3 years' time inspired me all the years later through rain and sunshine. And what he did that was so important to me was work hard, speak little, be a team player, and never belittle. He would work when he was very sick, outside in cold weather answering the call. And it was his nature to put others first, setting example for all. So my mentor, as I have told many since, was Eddie C., the best worker I've ever seen, and as solid as an oak tree. The next poem is called What Do I See? What do I see when I look inside me? Rivers flowing backwards, winds rushing forth, but hardly any stillness in appreciation of now. This moment, the wonder, wow. Much to do and see, memories of the past, hopes of what can be. When I look inside, what do I see? Dreams of peaceful, calm waters blanketed in the shade of a tree. The next poem is called Sunrise. The night seems colder and darker, and our minds gravitate to it. But as soon as the sun rises, my mood and spirit becomes so much more fit. From darkness to light, my attitude lifts. The change in perspective is a remarkable shift. No matter how hard I try, the night is a heavy curtain, but the sun will brighten my mood, that's for certain. Perhaps it's just a feeling of the winter blues. If that's the case, springtime can't arrive too soon. So maybe as nature intended, we should sleep during the night. This modern world, however, would put up a fight. As I work all night and punch out at dawn, the morning sun energizes me with no thought of a yawn. The next poem is called The Radio. The radio played the songs morning, noon, and night, and my friend would comment, that one was a summer song with a solo so tight. Many lyrics told a story of joy and life, while others wrote of political turmoil and strife. The musicians were self-taught and also schooled, but little did it matter. if they knew their tools. While some sang, played, and wrote songs, others did one thing and worked as a team to get along. Lots had one hit or a few, some as high as 22. But however many hit songs they did, we appreciated their talent that they shared and never hid. The next poem is called Little Sister. She helped me on my paper route in any weather. One lady loved when she did, this little girl lightened her spirit to that of a feather. Little sister and I would eat candy and ice cream on Friday nights and watch the shows. The weekend exists in a dreamy glow. In July and August, the water would warm, and she and I would swim all day long. We appreciated and enjoyed the music, the sound, and in the house it was all around. I moved across the country and didn't visit for a while, but after coming back, we talked and hung out, picking things up right where we left off, like that of a child. The next poem is called One and All. For over 2 centuries, they have died, fighting for our liberty and ability to live free lives. Starting in New England, a new nation was born. 500,000 soldiers would not return home, and Honest Abe decreed that a people would be freed. So next time you're sitting in an easy chair, watching a game or show without a care, remember those who fought and died, sacrificing all to keep freedom alive. He was a young man of 21, married 1 month and an only son. He crossed the ocean to defeat the master race, fighting an army who worshipped hate. He would never walk again in his life and return home to a broken-hearted wife. They didn't receive much support from home. How could we make them feel so alone? And when they returned after the fall, few open arms welcomed home patriots, one and all. The next poem is called Peace. A message rained down from every cloud and flowed from all streams. As the water fell from the falls, it revealed in nature's language to all peace. The next song and the lyrics are from The Skies Over L.A. The skies over L.A. were purple, brown, and gray. Why would we do things to make the sky not blue? We are all to blame. We all share the shame. Why do we go along when knowing it is wrong? Even a child could see a bird sitting in a tree. The skies over L.A. were purple, brown, and gray. Why would we do things to make the sky not blue? The path we are on is astray. Let's turn to nature for a better way. We can turn it around and honor the sky and ground. There are signs we are learning at last, putting our planet first as we haven't in the past. Let's hope this continues to be. Let's set our imaginations free. People and the planet can be as one, like the clouds and the sun. The skies over L.A. will be blue again like back in the day. Next song, the lyrics are from Raining All Day. It was raining all day, the dark clouds wouldn't go away. As I looked through my window I could see water rolling down the trees. Yesterday the sun was so bright, the sky and grass were kissed by the light. But on the horizon rain clouds had formed, this beautiful day was being warned. These 2 days mirrored my life, moving back and forth from the darkness to the light. But the one thing I know is true, you are there if the sky is gray or blue. It was raining all day. The dark clouds wouldn't go away. As I looked through my window, I could see water rolling down the trees. The rainy day had passed, washing away my sadness at last. Why I feel like this, I can't say. The rain gives life in its own way. So the next time I'm enjoying the sun, I won't dread the rain that's bound to come. Because just as the trees, I'll cherish the rain like the leaves. It was raining all day, raining all day. Next poem is called Oasis. I had a dream I was alone, walking through the desert and far from home, but in the distance an oasis appeared, quieting all my fears. As I drew nearer, I felt a cold breeze and saw some shade under the trees. But the best sight of all was you were there under the leaves. You didn't see me walking on the sand. The desert is as harsh as any land. But when you turned around, I could see you had cool water for me. I had a dream I was alone, walking through the desert and far from home. I'm not surprised I found you there with your loving care. When I entered the oasis, the sun was gone. The heat on my shoulders was there for too long. As you came closer to me, you had cool water from the stream. This dream of being alone turned out to be I was at home. The oasis in the desert was you. The sand turned into waters blue. When I awoke, you were next to me, and I could still feel the breeze. The next poem is called Journey with Me. Will you take a journey with me? Not to the city or the sea. We won't have to walk or drive, and it's a place we'll feel incredibly alive. I'm talking about a place we both know, but sadly never go. I think you know where I mean, a place as pure as a mountain stream. I saw this place reflected in your eyes, as free as birds soaring the skies. Please take my hand and we'll go to a place where happiness flows. I can see it in your smile, and we'll be there in a short while. It stretches to the far, to the stars, but it is close, not that far. You know the place I'm thinking of. We'll be together as the wind and a dove. It's a bridge between our hearts, and once we step on it, we won't be apart. Will you take a journey with me, not to the city or the sea? The next poem is called Daydreaming About You. I found myself at the beach at dawn, driving around all night long, trying to think what I should do, because being cool isn't getting me nearer to you. What have you got to lose? What do you have to choose? Tell her how you feel, look in her eyes and she'll know it's real. Took a drive to the park at noon. The flowers were in full bloom. Haven't decided what to do. Can't stop thinking about you. I found myself at the beach at dawn, driving around all night long. Took a drive to the park at noon. Flowers were in full bloom. Went to the city at 2, walking around with nothing to do. Haven't gotten anything done all day. Haven't figured out a way. We talk for hours at a time. Why can't I say what's on my mind? Finished the day near home, sitting on a bench all alone, looking at the birds fly in front of the sun, wondering if we can be as one. These next poems are about the great game of football. This poem is called Lombardi's Faith. He had a lifelong belief in himself and the heavens above. Family, God, and football were his loves. He played in college on the famous 7 blocks of granite, and later built a pro team, the finest on the planet. He was an assistant for the Giants in 1958. The title game went into overtime, New York against Baltimore, flickering black and white TV images, creating sports lore. A high school teacher for years, many players, when remembering him, could be moved to tears. Perseverance and concentration were the keys to success, he thought, more so than education and talent, and this is what he taught. He was passed over for jobs again and again, but he held strong. His faith was present there all along. The next poem is called Bill Parcells and a Poem. He came across a poem as a young man and had it with him ever since. Written within it, wisdom, vision, words that, like him, didn't mince. He talked about how it changed his life, helping also his players avoid much strife. I remember when he came to lead my team, the region buzzed with excitement, knowing that he would assure sturdiness in every scene. A football coach doesn't seem one given to poems, but you would be surprised how many of them read into the night while far away or at home. The next poem is called 199 Tom Brady. 199 is not a number, like 3 for Ruth or 4 for Orr, that comes to mind in sports lore. But 199 to one man inspired vision and purpose, a groundwork, a plan. Passed by and by into the 6th round only fueled the fire, a blacksmith forging the iron, a hammer coming down. Overlooked, not taken serious, they thought he couldn't get it done. How many of us can relate? Let's buckle up, show them, and make a run. Tom Brady made his way to the top, a Hollywood gridiron to fame. Just don't forget he was selected at 199. No red carpet welcomed him. On that day, it rained. The next poem is called Broadway Joe Namath. What did he represent in the counterculture? Certainly not the past. This couldn't be the future. Joe Namath brought forth change, and not only in football. His influence had a broader range. But what did he do that helped turn the tide? He didn't fit into a mold. He wasn't along for the ride. Oh, there are many others breaking from the past. The malt shop days weren't going to last. But on the field, he was part of a team, a spoke on the wheel, a stitch in the seam. He was the first to pass for over 4,000 yards, freewheeling. But in Super Bowl III, he managed the game, not throwing a pass in the 4th quarter, safe dealing. Broadway Joe moves between two worlds, one in a rush. I don't know if it matters, but I wonder, was he the canvas or the brush? The next poem is called Thanksgiving. Once a year we gather to celebrate our nation and spend time with family and friends, turkey, stuffing, and pie, an open invitation. You're new to the city and far from home. Come on over, no need to be alone. We give thanks to our country, look what hard work has done. So take the day off and watch some football with the fading autumn sun. And after the turkey, we'll sit and watch the game and debate which of our teams is better. Every year it's the same. How could the Pilgrims have known what this day would become? Family, food, and football. On this day, our nation is one. The next poem is called Tailgate. They arrive early to get ready, after working all week, honest and steady, preparing to feast on burgers and steaks before the game at stadiums, many near rivers and lakes. They love their team no matter the record and tell stories of games past, seasons, and memories that will last. My brother and I talked of our team winning that Super Bowl. What a playoff run when they got on that roll. and we are all general managers in the parking lot. Sometimes better choices are made out here than the person taking the number one parking spot. From city to city, region to region, the tailgaters unite in peace every season. The next poem is called All-Time Backs. Jim Brown is Mount Everest, considered to be standing above them all. But Cowboys fans might say Emmett, with the record and rings, stands just as tall. Sweetness delivered blows like he was on defense, and Barry dazzled foes with moves and talent, no pretense. John Riggins powered his way to seal a Super Bowl win, and Earl Campbell from his opening season a star. Let's begin. Gale Sayers was a comet, Tony Dorsett was smooth, Terrell Davis sadly didn't play long, a champion in a groove. Eric Dickerson ran upright, a former track star, and standing in Canton, this sprinter went far. Curtis Martin wasn't flashy but steady like the rain, a Parcells guy who grinded his way to the Hall of Fame. Many other backs thrilled fans live or watching at home. Great athletes performing in vast stadiums, some say a modern-day Rome. The next poem is called Concrete. He fought in a war unlike any before, and when he returned to the game, he became part of football lore. After being in battle compared, he didn't think anymore football was much of a chore. The last 60-minute man, playing center and middle linebacker, he led Philly to a title, and against Lombardi and the Packers. It was Lombardi's only playoff defeat. The game-ending tackle made by the man called Concrete. Chuck Bednarik was called Concrete Charlie, befitting his style of play and also the product he sold. 2 jobs was the rule of the day. When he tackled Frank Gifford, they say it sounded like a crack, and the Giants player was out cold, lying on his back. He would count his rosary during the days. His faith led him to strive in many ways. The next poem is called A Bricklayer's Son. He worked for his father as a kid, catching bricks to be put in place. A task was something for which he never hid. He took this work ethic with him to the pros and worked through the highs and lows. Was he born with talent? Who can say? Or did repetition and sweat pave the way? He had grace and poise running the field, but his hands were his treasure, producing a golden yield. He took the record books to a new height and began training right after the season, running the hills, chasing the light. He was voted the best who ever played. Through hard work, obstacles were slayed. Jerry Rice, the bricklayer's son, stared down a challenge he didn't run. The next poem is called First a Fan. He was just another fan back then, sitting in the stands. Was he dreaming of owning the team one day? And what would be his plans? To restore the glory days? No, they had not won. To bring home a championship? The work had begun. Oh, they had given the fans great memories during the past, but a Super Bowl win is forever, something that will last. He assembled a staff and a team that would win it all, beating the greatest show on turf, then becoming a dynasty. For Patriots fans, was this heaven on earth? From one fan to another, thanks Robert Kraft for building such a team. Many list them side by side with the best ever seen. The next poem is called He May Never. The quickest release ever? Likely so. The greatest of his era? Oh, I don't know. A competitive fire for sure. His legend no doubt will endure. Throwing spirals in the Miami sun or fastballs in the cold, his team mostly won. He had a chance to win it all, but ran into another great who in the biggest of games simply didn't fall. He was an artist with his arm and shuffling feet, eluding tacklers in the pocket they were rarely to meet. He may never have been on a team that finished the deal, but Dan Marino always showed his heart was real. The next poem is called The Power Sweep. They ran the play over and over, in games, in practice, on the bus. Here's what we do, stop us. No tricks, no gimmicks, no schemes. Stopping this play is no field of dreams. Mr. Cowboy called it the simplest offense he'd ever seen, and he played against it once when it was minus 17. Lombardi built his team on this play. It will work. Perseverance was his way. Over and over we'll run the power sweep. 5 championships later, this team earned many a good night's sleep. The next poem is called Air San Diego. He was the Don of the Air, Coach Coryell, and Sid Gilman drew up innovative pass plays the opponents could sure tell. They both worked through the sky, footballs in flight, laces spinning in the California sun, over defenders' hands, goodbye. The powder blue with Lance running routes, and a generation later there was Dan Fouts. Don Coryell coached the air attack near the San Diego surf, and Dick Vermeil used his philosophy that fueled the greatest show on turf. Maybe in heaven they play a game, Vince's team and Sid's, football's polar opposites, winners just the same. The next poem is called The Kansas Comet. The Kansas Comet burst onto the scene. Sadly, he didn't play long, but he left lasting memories that were a dream. As a rookie, he did things on the field that filled many a highlight reel. A movie was made about him and a teammate friend. It touched millions, a bond to the end. He was the youngest ever elected to the Hall, well deserved considering how he ran the ball. So maybe he was nicknamed the Kansas Comet for a reason. Gale Sayers' light shined so bright in 5 short seasons. The next poem is called The Bay Area. The red and gold glistening in the sun, Walsh, Montana, and Rice, mind and body working as one. The silver and black played their own style, going deep for decades, not just for a while. Ronnie Lott simply got things done, and Upshaw and Shell cleared the way for the run. Jim Plunkett had bounced around until winning 2 Super Bowls. Cheers were finally the dominant sound. They drew up a play in the dirt, and America's team sadly felt the hurt. Mirroring Athens and Sparta, the Bay Area produced teams, 2 ways to succeed, a gridiron of dreams. The next poem is called Quarterbacks Taken Number 1. They are first in their class, taken number 1. Many don't quite live up, some walk away having won. Terry Bradshaw was the first overall choice, winning 4 Super Bowls and later a talented broadcast voice. Troy Aikman had a 1-15 rookie year, but 3 Super Bowls later, he stood in the pocket, steady, no fear. They said Peyton Manning couldn't win the big game, but there he stood holding the trophy in the Miami rain. John Elway endured 3 tough losses, but retired winning back-to-back and an MVP for his tosses. Jim Plunkett took a beating out of the gate. Was there a reason? Finishing with an 8-2 playoff record and 2 championships, a class act in every season. Joe Namath was the brash number 1, winning the historic game. No one could say Broadway Joe couldn't get it done. The next poem is called The Greatest Show on Turf. It's easy to love a story about a man stocking shelves on a night crew and a few years later holding up a Super Bowl trophy wearing the Rams yellow and blue. How can you not enjoy watching Marshall Faulk do it all, catching passes like a receiver and making cuts that make the best defenders fall. Imagine a coach leaving the game, exhausted from work. Things weren't the same. And 14 years later he returned. The fire never went out, the flames still burned. The coach came back, but had to change his ways. The first 2 years back were tough, but in year 3 the waters calm, not as rough. And as Dick Vermeil and Kurt Warner hugged on a podium in a dream-come-true chance, the man previously stocking shelves thanked his coach for the chance. The next poem is called The Buffalo Bills. This team was an example for all to see. About getting up and trying again, they were not going to flee. Beaten once, they came back. Twice, they returned. Will was something they had learned. The third time wasn't the charm. It hurt, but they didn't hide in the barn. Back for a fourth time, it didn't work out. This would be the end of the line. Our country loves a winner, a pat on the back. But the ones who get up time after time, character is one thing they don't lack. So for this fan, and I think many more, the Buffalo Bills say a lot about our country. The effort, the heart, no frills. This poem is called Monday Night Football. Frank Gifford played college ball in sunny L.A. He then grinded out a Hall of Fame career in New York on many a cold day. Dandy Don did his best in trying to beat Vince, then became a groundbreaking broadcaster, a lovable American prince. Howard Cosell told it like it was. Never before had a sportscaster created such a buzz. Pete Rozelle and Roone Arledge invented a new brand on the day following the weekend Dreamland. And they added cameras and production to enhance the show. The fans loved it, and Gray Monday suddenly had a glow. The first Monday night game had Broadway Joe, an instant hit. Did they know? The next poem is called NFL Films. They began with coaches wanting them thrown off the field, but like Lombardi taught, perseverance can produce a wonderful yield. Viewing their work as art, their cameras, music, and the voice of John Facenda set this game apart. Their founder, Big Ed Sable, set the bar high, reaching like Cecil B. and Hitchcock for the sky. Capturing the sport like none had seen, the Kansas Comet or David Deacon came glowing through the screen. Showing images of games past allowed fans to learn the history, memories that will last. Many grew up with NFL films. The game does inspire. You are part of America, a flicker turned into fire. This poem is called Prime Time. He is light, he is speed, but you don't fool us. You're a lunch pail guy getting the job done when there is a need. Using cunning to trick the quarterback, an interception producing 6, not 3. And running it back to pay dirt, holding up the ball for all to see. Blessed with speed and grace, his teammate and friend, the playmaker, talked about Prime's work ethic that made him one of the greats. So Deion Sanders is lights and cameras. Primetime is a star, but his hard work and dedication allowed him to go so far. The next poem is called Dynasty Bound, 5 Decades. In the 60s, it was the Packers. Lombardi won Super Bowls 1 and 2. They also won 5 NFL titles, 3 in a row. Their accomplishments were many, not few. The 70s brought the Steelers, a foundation started by drafting Mean Joe Green. All these years later, it's still the best defense ever seen. The 80s and the 49ers were new age, smooth not tense, and Bill Walsh implemented the West Coast offense. The 90s saw Jimmy Johnson come from college to the pros, and he built a champion in Dallas, featuring Emmett, the playmaker, in Troy's throws. The new century began with a quarterback taken in the 6th round, but Tom Brady believed in himself, and the Patriots were dynasty bound. I hope you enjoyed those poems from my book, Poems, Spiritual Football Lyrics Life. My name is Joe Mahan. Thank you for listening.